Hey guys, have you ever wondered what it takes to run a successful restaurant business and also create mouth-watering dishes? Well, stay tuned. I'm gonna be sitting down with Chef Nicola Blaque from the Jerk Shack, and we're gonna walk through all the lessons from successes to failures. So let's go, guys, and I'm ready, and I hope you are too. Hello everybody, welcome to the Unruly Chefs Network. And as on my channel, we represent the Caribbean through island food, island places, and island people. So I am ready for this. And Nicola, I hope you are.
I am,
as well.
I am.
So, all right, so let's jump straight into it. I just want to give the viewers a little bit of background of who I'm interviewing today. So Nicola Blaque, she is a wife and a mother of a 4- and 5-year-old.
My daughter's 3 still.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to remind her that.
Okay,
So,
got you.
yeah, 3- and 5-year-old.
3- and 5-year-old,
Yes.
Okay. Born and raised in Jamaica until the age of 5.
Yes.
Followed in your stepfather's footsteps and joined the Army.
Yes.
So thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And it was 10 years, right?
10 years.
Awesome. Lived in Hawaii for a little bit. How long did you live in Hawaii for?
Total, because my stepdad was stationed there 7 years.
7 years?
Yes.
Okay. Attended the CIA, not
Yeah.
the 3-letter suit, but it's the Culinary Institute of America.
Yeah.
During that time, you had your own private, was it?
Yeah, I started off as a meal prep company, and then I transitioned that with catering, and then I became a private chef out of that.
Got it. Awesome. And then you opened Jerk Shack in 2018.
Yes.
Awesome. Here in San Antonio, where we're at today. You were a owner of Mi Roti.
Yes.
And then the Freight Fried Chicken,
Yes.
also in San Antonio.
Yes.
But Mi Roti also shut down.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. And then just to go through some of your accolades and achievements. Pretty big deal, guys. So let's start off. So featured on the Food Network's Dinners and Drive-Ins and Dives with Guy Fieri. So big time. 2020 GQ Best New Restaurant. And then Culture Map San Antonio Crowned Chef of the Year twice.
Yeah.
Mike Shutter's top 25 restaurants in San Antonio, Texas. And then you had residence in Gaga, Glasgow.
Yes.
Okay. And then some of your prestigious culinary honors, 2023 Star Chefs, San Antonio Rising Star Restaurant. And then the James Beard Foundation Taste America series at the Hotel Emma. 2023 Beard Foundation nominee for the best chef in Texas.
Yes.
And then the Michelin guide also that you had for the Jerk Shack, right?
Yeah.
So before I go on to anything else, am I leaving anything off?
I think my biggest one, probably one of my first hugest awards, the Eater Best New Restaurant in 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for the people that don't know that one, what is that?
So Eater is like where every chef that's like a real chef, cooking, creating, getting recognized by them is like something that everyone looks forward to. You know, you're not necessarily aspiring for it, but if it happens, it's like one of those things that really puts you on the map.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for that. So I just want to jump straight into that if that's fine with you. So let's start from, born and raised in Jamaica, and then you left at age 5. Where did you go after age 5? Like
Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where my stepdad was stationed. And really for me, it was my first time like really being around like my stepdad and my mom and that dynamic, and then going to a place where nobody looked like me.
Right.
You know, I don't remember any like young Black kids in my class, and they made fun of my accent. And you know, I wanted to conform, I wanted to fit in. And some of my early childhood memories was like my mom like still making Caribbean food to like make sure that we remembered our heritage and our culture and stuff. So
yeah, and I know that could be kind of tough too, because especially for me as a kid, and also coming to school with like Jamaican food, you know, the kids are like, what is that smell? Like, what are you eating? You know, so like, how did you kind of matriculate? Was that kind of like?
It was always a struggle. You know, I didn't realize the power or like how much different I was, but it was good to be different until I was older.
Okay.
When I joined the Army, and I realized that a lot of the people that were joining the military came from other countries, and they didn't have other foods to share. Like you know, I'm talking about jerk chicken and curry chicken, and I know how to make all these things. And they're like, I just know mac and cheese, collard greens, the standard, you know, and it's like, okay, I'm different. And the older I got, I started to appreciate it more.
Got it.
I can't say growing up, I was like, I'm Jamaican, because, you know, it's, I think if you were born in the 80s like I was, it was like, you need to get in line.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what it was like for me.
Did you always in your mind have this inclination that you wanted to be a chef and a business owner? Like, when did that?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
I was in the Army, and I have 4 deployments. I've been deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan multiple times. And for me, the stress of just like being gone away from your family, like things that people don't talk about are like how you integrate back into society. And so every time that I was deployed and I would come back home, you know, your friends have, you know, they've just had experiences that you can experience, and, you know, they got to travel and do this, and the same with my family. And so I always felt out of place, and it caused stress, it caused anxiety, certain situations about being in crowds. And so I cooked a lot, and that was always just like a part of me. And when I came back in I think this was 2010, I came back from Iraq, and I had severely bad anxiety. I had PTSD. And at the time, my husband and I, we were just dating. And he was like, you probably should think of other options in life because you're not happy. And I wasn't, you know, I was unmarried, no kids, and just like looking at my life like, if I stay in the military, this is going to be my life for the next 10 years. Yeah. And hopefully, you know, God keeps me alive. So I made the decision to get out, and 2013 was my last time in the military. And I really didn't have a path directly to culinary. When I got out, I started doing the same job that I was doing in the military, which was logistics. And I was still pretty unhappy, even though I was out. And my husband, he said to me, he was like, if there was like one thing that you could do, what would that be? And I was like, I just want to cook. I want to cook. I want to go to different restaurants, and that's it. And I had a friend living here in San Antonio, and we came to visit her. And she set me up with a tour of CIA. And when I got that tour, I was like, this is where I want to be. And so at the time, we were living in Hawaii. And this is now 2014, and I convinced my husband to move. And we weren't married yet. We were just boyfriend and girlfriend, and my husband has, at the time, his son was like 9 or 10. And so we're moving, not only just me, but my boyfriend and his son, to a whole new city. But, you know, we stepped out on faith, moved here. And yeah. Within
that transition, I'm sure you had doubts, right? Like, what kind of doubts were kind of sitting into? Because I know for me, sometimes I'm like, I'm in a 9 to 5 and I want to leave, I want to do something full time.
I think at that time, I didn't really have any doubts. You know, I didn't really feel anything because, you know, I worked hard for 10 years, you know, like in the military, doing things that most Black women are not doing, you know, and I was just ready. I was ready for a new start, a place of belonging, you know, and yeah, it was really, really exciting. So a funny story is we get here and I'm enrolling for CIA and I have no culinary experience.
You're about to answer my question. Okay, go ahead.
So CIA has a requirement that you have to have like either 6 months, you know, working under a chef or at some sort of institution or whatever, or education. And at the time I was just like, I don't know what to do. And so I applied at the Art Institute, and I did a semester at the Art Institute, and I reapplied at CIA. And that was it.
How did you bring that culinary experience and add that to?
Well, we learn different techniques. And one of the coolest things that I admired about CIA was everyone there knows how to cook. You know, they're not teaching you how to, you know, turn on the stove and how much oil. Like, we all have those basic skills. So they're only enhancing what you know. You know, like, for instance, old Jamaican way, flour and water to thicken the gravy, right? And so like in culinary school, you're actually learning like, why are we doing this technique? You know, the standard way of like browning the oxtail, you know, and we're learning about that and creating that depth of the sauce. And so, you know, people say it all the time, like, this isn't what I grew up eating, you know, like it tastes slightly different. And for me, it's like, I'm not trying to change what anyone grew up with, but I'm showing what I've learned and what I grew up with and producing that as a product.
Right. How did you manage that, going to classes?
It was crazy.
Okay,
It was crazy.
Take me through that. Like, what was crazy about it?
My husband and I, again, like we had moved here, you know, we have a son in college, he's in college now, but he was in elementary school, and we're like, we've got to get this thing together. And so my husband, he started training clients to work out and, you know, lose weight, and they weren't doing that. And he's like, I think it has something to do with their diet. They're not following the meal plans that I'm writing. And so he's like, I have this idea. What if you make the meals for them? Because they said they don't have time. And so I was like, this would be great for me to make the meals and, you know, give me some practice. I get to work on my knife skills. And literally, like, it turned from 20 meals to I started making 1,000 meals a week.
While in school?
While in school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was, I've never owned a business, but it was probably like one of the hardest things that I had to learn fast.
Yeah.
You know, like setting up my LLC. I even created a website. I had an app. So like,
and you did this by yourself?
Yes.
Hey. Okay.
I had to standardize some things because the customers started coming in.
Right.
And so once I figured out that, one of my friends, she was already kind of doing some catering on the side, and she had a kitchen that she was renting out. So she's like, you can't do this out your home anymore.
Right.
Like, you're gonna burn down your house. And so I ended up joining her in that space. And
this is the commercial kitchen?
Yeah, this is the commercial kitchen now. And so from there, those same clients that I was cooking for, they're like, I'm having this little event. Can you cater it?
Yeah.
Sure. You know, so now I'm catering. And once I had my website up, I was starting to get requests for personal chef.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it took off from there.
Okay. And what would you say was the turning point? So for example, so when you got the commercial kitchen set up and it was running, what was I read it was the jerk tacos that really took off, or what was that one? So
when I got the commercial kitchen, I think the turning point in my business, I received a request from an NBA player's wife. And so, you know, she was living here in San Antonio. Her husband was playing for the Toronto Raptors. And she was like, I'm pregnant, I need some help. Can you help me? And I was like, I could do this after school every day. And so I'm making meals, you know, for them before school, after school, and everything's going good. What happened was 2017, my aunt passed away, and I had to go back to Jamaica to go bury her. And a little story why I had to go back to Jamaica. My dad, I never got to spend a lot of time with him, and I didn't grow up with him. So I told him when I got out of the military, I'm gonna be there more. And so I ended up flying back with him, and I don't know if it was because I was already like cooking in the industry and just tasting food on, you know, newer heights, but I tried some jerk chicken that I've never had before. And it was at that moment where I was like, I need to bring this back. Yeah. You know.
Walk me through that feeling. When you taste, what was that taste profile? What was that?
So
clearly that opened up a way for you to.
It did. Like, I could taste the smokiness from the pimento. And it was the first time that I've ever had jerk chicken where the chicken was brine. Okay. That's not usually a thing that Jamaicans do. They marinate. And so having chicken that was brine, the chicken had a brightness to it, and it still had that peppery bark. And it was, you know, you still had the notes of salt and the allspice and, you know, the Scotch bonnet. You could just, it just tasted like the freshest piece of jerk chicken I've ever had. And I was like, yeah, this is what I would bring back if I had the opportunity.
Okay.
And so that same kitchen that I was catering and working out of, they ended up shutting it down in 2017, the later part. And so it left me in a predicament where I had to figure it out. And so I ended up finding our old space that Jerk Shack used to be in. It's about 10 minutes from here, and I rented it. And so this is my first like commercial lease that I'm solely responsible for.
Okay.
And you know, business was good, but now I have a full-time commitment to this lease for the next 3 years. And so I had a series of dreams. One of the dreams that I had was from my aunt, and she was telling me that I wasn't living up to my fullest potential.
And pause, is that Pamela Reed?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. Okay. Continue, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
All right, so what did Pamela Reed say in the dream?
She said, you're not living to your fullest potential.
Okay.
And crazy part, you know, like I left Jamaica when I was 5, so the interactions that I've had with my aunt have been very minimal. And so I remember sharing this with my dad, and he's like, what do you think it means? I'm like, I don't know. You know, I don't know. And so, you know, I had some contracts because I was already a certified caterer for the city. And that later part of 2017, once I made it through the winter season, I'm now stuck with this lease, and I'm not used to working as hard to make money.
Yeah.
And I just prayed upon it. And I woke up one morning and I was like, I had a dream, and this place was called the Jerk Shack. And that was it.
Okay, so that's where the name the Jerk Shack came from.
Yeah,
okay.
But in Jamaica, they're normally like, you know, a jerk hut. But I had this dream for Jerk Shack.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense. That makes sense. And you know, it's so crazy, even kind of hearing your story, you've always been in a place where it's like you're not sure if you fit in, but you always find a way to break through those barriers.
Yeah.
To still shine, to still come out on top. To be honest.
It's crazy. Yeah. You know, like you never know what God has planned for you.
Right.
You know, when I put it out that I'm going to open up a restaurant, I came across these young guys called Curry Boys that are here. In San Antonio. Well, really at the time they were called Pinch Boil House. And they had this crowdfunding campaign to help them kickstart their restaurant. And so I look into the platform and I tell my husband, I'm like, we need to do this. You know, like we've got clientele that's been supporting us, you know, the last 2 years. You know, like maybe if we pitch this to them, they would, you know, support us, and then we can have the money to buy all the equipment and really turn this place, because it looked terrible. It's nothing like what people see online now, but it looked really bad. And I was like, we could turn this place into a restaurant. So we kicked off the campaign. We called it the Founders Campaign.
Right.
And we allowed people to be a part of our journey, anywhere from $50 up to $1,000.
Yeah.
And we raised about $15,000 that allowed us to buy equipment, and we had a horrible bird problem that we needed to fix, and it allowed us to do things like that. So yeah.
Got you. And you know, sometimes, you know, we use our weaknesses as strengths, right? And one of the things that you told me that you kind of suffered with PTSD and anxiety, you know, in the process of becoming a successful business owner / chef, like how did you use that as a strength? So for example, at times probably when you felt like giving up, how did you use that weakness as a...
One of the main things that I'm always reminding myself is like, whatever I'm feeling in this moment is just temporary. And I'm laying the groundwork so others can go further than I can. You know, I didn't have anyone teaching me how to run a Caribbean restaurant, much less a restaurant. I followed, you know, chefs that were around me that I admired. When I went to their restaurants and I saw their operations were good, I would send them a message like, hi, you don't know me, I'm Chef Nicola, but I love your operation and maybe we can connect in the future. And surprisingly, some of these chefs here in San Antonio, they replied back. and they were very helpful, and they were eager to share what they've learned.
Yeah.
And I was able to put it back into my business. You know, the anxiety, I don't think it's ever going to go away, but it's just something that I have to manage, and I have to remind myself, like, bring it down and let's look at what the bigger picture is.
Right.
Yeah.
And on that topic of bringing it down, when you ride that elevator all the way back down, what's something that you would tell Nicola Blaque, probably was at 18, 25,
Yeah.
at that point when you were sitting there, man, like, what am I gonna do? Is my business, is my life
You
gonna work
know,
out? What
I
advice
wish,
did you
like,
give
this
to your
is
younger
giving me
self?
chills thinking about it, because, you know, cooking for me was just something that I like to do. And if I knew, like, all it takes is like something that you like to do, if you're passionate enough to like it, you can turn it into something really big.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know that, you know, and right now I have kids, and my son is like fascinated with cars. And my husband bought him a go-kart, and he bought it for his 4th birthday. And literally 30-minute instruction, and my son is driving. He knows how to reverse, he knows how to go forward, laps, all of that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I that's what I tell people. Like, if you feel it inside, like, that's something special, and you've got to act on it, because life is just too short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, when we sit here, a lot of times, you know, people that look like us, but also women,
Yeah.
you know, what advice would you give to them that wants to start something like this? I'm looking at you and saying, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't even think I could be what this person is. Like, what advice would you give?
Literally, I don't even know what this person is, but I see greats like Tiffany Derry, Mashamba Bailey, and I'm just like, if they're doing it, I just need to keep going, you know? Like you said, you named off some of my recognitions, and every one of those, I remember the feeling of like when it happened, you know, because I wasn't looking for it. I'm just doing what I do.
Yeah.
And then it came, and it's like, now people are starting to understand what my mission is. And my mission is just to share Caribbean food. You know, I don't know what it was like for you growing up, but for me, my stepdad was in the military, and there wasn't always a Caribbean restaurant around, you know, and I know that there's people that are here in San Antonio that are like, where's Caribbean food?
Yeah.
And I'm that option. They don't have to wonder like I did growing up.
Got you. So persistence was key.
Yes.
Got you. Awesome. And then last but not least, when you look at, you know, the future of you as a person, but also your business as well, like, what do you have in your mind? Is it just like you're trusting God with the process?
I am, you know. So the Jerk Shack, we've got so many recognitions, and I want to follow what God has in front of me. Like, I'm not rushing it. And I say that because some people, they hit these and they feel like, I need to expand.
Yeah.
And for me, this is my 7th year in business, and so much that I've learned that some people, it takes a lifetime for them to learn. You know, I was able to move from, you know, a 600 square foot building to a 3,000 square foot building, all during the pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, and I figured it out between me and my husband. And so I feel like God's going to give me the sign.
Yeah.
My other restaurant, Freight Fried Chicken, we're opening up in the airport next year. And that's something I've never done. So I'm kind of just like taking it with ease and seeing what happens. And I hope God hears me, because my goal is just to share my version of Caribbean food. Yeah. You know, share it with the people. When we opened here in San Antonio, one of the first items on my menu was the jerk chicken tacos. And I share that because people are like, that's not Jamaican. But if you look at the history of Jamaica, you know, we come from South America and we migrated to Jamaica. And trying to teach people here in San Antonio that we're closer than we are further. That was my main goal.
Yeah.
You know, and once I put jerk chicken inside that taco, people started to understand me more.
Okay, so bridging the way,
Yes.
breaking new ground.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
always. And with you, it's like you don't get blinded by success. Most people will say,
Yeah.
you know what? I won this award.
Yes.
I opened up this restaurant.
Yeah.
I'm doing numbers. My bank account's looking fat.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And then they become comfortable.
Yeah.
You don't become comfortable. You seem like I need to go break some more ground.
Well,
Is that innate? Like what is that?
yeah, because there's so many things that I have a saying, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
You know, when I traveled last year to Scotland, and the culture that was there that I never even expected. You know, our culture, Caribbean, you know, African, even African American culture, all of that was in Scotland. And not a place that, you know, people even think.
We don't exist. I don't think we exist in those parts of
But we do. We do.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, you know, I guess I'm dreaming, but what if I could bring Jerk Shack to those heights? You know, where they're looking for this. They're already celebrating our culture. They want more of it, and I'm bringing it there. But I can't be blinded by what's current when I don't know what's ahead.
Wow, powerful. I like that line.
Yeah.
Okay. And last but not least,
Yes.
what do you want to be remembered for when it's all said and done? When your kids are looking at your legacy, your family, what is it? What do you want that to be?
I want people to remember me as a hard worker. Yeah. You know, I'm getting up there in age. Like I turned 40 last year.
Stop it. Stop it. She's 25. Stop it.
And it's one of those things that it's like a turning point in your life, and you're like, things are changing for me, you know? And somebody said to me on my birthday, you're either halfway there or more. And I was like, whoa, that's a deep statement to tell somebody turning 40. And they're like, you have to think of it that way. Like, are you halfway to your death, or are you closer to your death than you know? And yeah, I want people to remember that I went hard. Yeah. That's it. I want my kids to remember that.
Yeah.
I want them to know, like, mommy was a worker and you have to get to work. That's it. You know, it doesn't stop. You know, and this dream that we're building here in America, it takes people working. You know,
Plain and simple, hard work.
that's it. It takes people working.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Chef Nicola Blaque, thank you so much
Thank you.
for sitting down, taking this interview with me.
Thank you.
I'm definitely going to pause this and go grab some
Oh
food.
no, I got y'all. Lunch is on me today.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you so much. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
Yep.